The Summer Night Conspiracy, horror, psychological thriller. The summer air was thick with humidity, the kind that clings to your skin and makes it hard to breathe. In the quiet town of Harrow's End, where everyone knew each other by name and secrets were buried as deep as the roots of the trees, something ancient stirred. It was the night of July 23rd, the night of the eclipse. The townspeople were gathered at the edge of the woods for the annual Summer Night Festival. A local tradition, bonfires, beer, and music under the stars. But this year, the stars didn't show. The sky was unnaturally dark, and the moon had vanished. 17-year-old Katie Langford sat with her friends by the fire, restless. Something wasn't right. Her skin prickled, not from cold, but from an invisible pressure in the air, like something was watching. Her boyfriend, Tyler, poked the fire with a stick. "You okay?" Katie nodded, but her eyes scanned the forest. "Does it feel weird to you tonight? Like the woods are quieter than usual? Probably just drunk teens scared off the animals." Tyler shrugged. "Relax." But she couldn't. Around 11:46 p.m., the music abruptly stopped. Power outage. The bonfires dimmed like they were being suffocated. Then came the chanting. Soft, rhythmic, from deeper in the forest. It wasn't from the festival. Someone or something was out there. People started whispering. Parents called for their kids. Phones had no signal. A woman screamed. Katie grabbed Tyler's hand. "We need to go." As they ran toward the parking lot, they passed the town mayor, Mr. Harrow, standing unnaturally still in front of the welcome center, eyes rolled back in his skull, whispering. He returns. "Blood moon. Old pact. We were promised." Tyler stopped. What the hell is he talking about? But Katie was already backing away. Then the ground trembled. Not like an earthquake, like something massive was moving beneath them. All around, townspeople began walking toward the woods, blank-faced, entranced, like sleepwalkers. Even Katie's own mother emerged from the shadows, eyes black and mouth slightly open, humming a tune Katie had only heard once before on a cassette her grandfather left her before he died. A lullaby, but backward. She whispered, "Come to the hollow. The hollow is ready." Katie and Tyler were the only ones resisting. They ran into the woods, ironically, the only place no one else seemed to be headed. And that's when they found it. A clearing. A circle of standing stones, ancient and cracked, soaked in something thick and red. Around it, townspeople knelt, humming. In the center was a pit, black as void. And from the pit came fingers. Long, jointless, spider-like fingers, gripping the earth. Katie tried to scream, but no sound came. Her feet were rooted to the ground. Tyler was dragged away by townsfolk, chanting louder and louder, until blood ran from their eyes and noses. From the pit emerged a head, goat-like, but with too many eyes. Each one blinked separately, scanning, breathing heavily. Then it spoke. "The pact is paid. The blood returns. She is the key." Everyone turned to Katie. Her hands began to burn. Symbols etched themselves into her skin in glowing red. She had no memory of it, but deep in her blood, something was being awakened. Her grandfather had tried to warn her that she was born of Harrow's pact. The moon above turned blood red. Katie's mother knelt before her, offered a ceremonial knife. "Finish the pact. Become the vessel." Katie screamed and threw the knife, but it hovered in the air, turned, pointed at her, and flew. Katie woke up at her bed. Sunlight, birds chirping. It was morning, July 24th. Was it a dream? She looked at her hands, clean, no symbols. Downstairs, her mom made pancakes. Tyler texted her a meme. Everything was normal. But then, she opened the fridge. Inside was a human heart, wrapped in butcher paper. It was still beating. On the kitchen wall, written in blood. 1 year until the veil thins again. Prepare the vessel. Part 2, The Vessel. Horror, occult thriller. It had been 364 days since the night of the eclipse. Since Katie found the heart in the fridge. Since her mother pretended nothing happened. Since everything changed without looking like it had. Harrow's Inn was quiet. Too quiet. People smiled a little too widely. Laughed a little too long. There were no therapists in town. They always left. No visitors either. The GPS always rerouted them away. Katie kept a notebook hidden under her floorboards, filled with drawings, memories, symbols that came to her in dreams. The hollow, the pit, the goat-eyed thing, she called it them all. Every night she dreamt of it whispering, "Soon, soon, soon." Tyler acted like none of it happened. But sometimes when they kissed, she could taste iron in his breath. Sometimes he stared just a second too long, like he didn't know who she was anymore. Then the dreams began again. This time, she wasn't alone in them. A girl she'd never seen before, with her face but hollow eyes, stood in the woods holding a lantern. On what you would have been, what you might still become. She awoke that night, drenched in sweat. The clock read 3:33 a.m. She followed an instinct, quietly padded downstairs. In the kitchen, her mother was standing at the window, naked, whispering. Katie didn't move. Her mother said, in a voice not her own, "The vessel matures. The blood recognizes blood. Tomorrow is the night." Katie backed away slowly, heart pounding. July 23rd, the anniversary. The town felt like a pressure cooker about to blow. No festival this year. No flyers. The streets were empty. Katie received a message on her phone from a number she didn't recognize. "They know you remember. You must leave. Before nightfall." Gee. She thought of her grandfather. He died when she was 10, but he did leave tapes, books, maps. He tried to warn her. She ran to his old shed at the edge of town. Inside, she found a false wall. Behind it, journals, symbols that burned in her memory. A map of Harrow's End with a red X in the woods. The hollow, another note in his handwriting. "They need you to say yes. Don't. If you do, the maw crosses. They can't pull it through without a soul tethered in both realms." She finally understood. They weren't trying to sacrifice her. They were trying to merge her with the maw. At dusk, she ran. Through the woods. To the X. The hollow. Same standing stones. Same pit. But this time it was quiet. Then footsteps. Dozens of them. The townsfolk arrived, wearing robes, faces blank, surrounding her like chess pieces. Tyler walked out from the crowd. His face split impossibly wide, as if something inside him was grinning through. "You've always been the key, Katie." Her mother stepped forward. "Say yes. Let him in. You don't have to be afraid." Then they began to chant the same melody from the tape her grandfather left. Only this time, she understood the words. The hollow opens. The blood awakes. The vessel offers. The maw takes. The ground cracked. The pit gurgled, and the fingers returned. Katie screamed, but they didn't touch her. They touched Tyler, wrapped around him, pulled. He laughed as he descended. "Your body isn't enough anymore, but your soul, it sings. You'll open the gate next year, or we'll find someone else. It's never just one vessel." With a violent snap, the pit swallowed him whole. The chanting stopped. Everyone turned and walked back into the woods. Like nothing had happened. Katie stood there alone. The pit was gone, but etched in the stones were new words. One opened, one sealed, one sleeps. The vessel still breathes. Katie left Harrow's in that night. She drives, lives off the grid, never stays in one place. But every July 23rd, no matter where she is, she wakes at 3:33 a.m. and hears scratching from beneath her bed, whispers from her closet. Sometimes, Tyler's voice on the radio. "You'll let me back in eventually. You're tired. It's only a matter of time." Part 3, The Maw Rises. Cosmic horror, survival thriller. July 22nd, somewhere in the Nevada desert. Katie hadn't slept in 6 days. Her motel room stank of sweat, burnt sage, and gasoline. Salt rings surrounded the bed. Her walls were covered in occult sigils drawn with charcoal and lamb's blood, all copied from her grandfather's journals. Her fingers trembled as she flipped through one last entry. If the maw anchors itself fully, it spreads like rot. First the town, then the land, then the air. One vessel can end the cycle if she dies willingly before the rite. Katie stared at that sentence. She tried running, praying, hiding, exorcists, psychics, a witch in Missouri who claimed she smelled like hell's womb. None of it worked, because she wasn't haunted. She was claimed. That night, she dreamed again. Only this time, she didn't wake up. She stood in a replica of Harrow's End. Everything dead, colorless. Houses rotting. People frozen in place, mouths open in silent screams. The hollow stood in the center. No trees, just an ocean of black flesh pulsing and breathing like a living heart. And in the middle, Tyler, or what used to be him. His body was a vessel now, a suit for something far older. His eyes were missing, replaced with writhing mouths, each whispering a different language. You thought leaving mattered? This world is a doorway, not a wall. We never needed your yes, just your bloodline. Then she saw them, children, all wearing old Harrows and Scout uniforms, bleeding from their eyes, holding lanterns, her grandfather among them, dead, weeping. He mouthed, burn the hollow, bury the heart, defree. Katie awoke, gasping, blood leaking from her nose. It was midnight, July 23rd, 3:33 a.m. She drove back to Harrow's End. The sky darkened unnaturally the closer she got. Lightning in clear skies. Roads crumbled behind her. GPS blinked out. By dawn, the town was unrecognizable. The welcome sign now read, "Welcome to Harrow's Hollow. Population, you." The buildings were collapsing into themselves. Vines of black bone wrapped around telephone poles. The sky, completely starless. She drove straight to the hollow. No hesitation this time. She brought two things, her grandfather's notebook and a jug of gasoline. At the pit, the cult awaited. All of them, townsfolk, dead ones, even her mother, all wearing the same expressionless stare. No chanting, just waiting. And from the pit, it rose. The maw, fully now, towering, monstrous, goat-like skull atop a neck of coiled serpents. Dozens of eyes, breathing in and through her like it already owned her lungs. "Welcome home, vessel." She stepped forward, lit the match. "No, I'm not yours." She threw the match. The gasoline ignited. The flames did not rise. They recoiled, as if reality rejected the fire. But Katie was already inside the circle of stones. The flames caught her clothes. Her skin blistered instantly. The maw's voice rumbled. "Angry now. You die. We find another." "You'll find nothing," she whispered. As her skin burned, she whispered her grandfather's last right aloud. "Let the fire cleanse the gate. Let the vessel burn the cord. Let the hollow close forevermore." And then the pit screamed. A terrible, inhuman sound that shattered the stones and cracked the sky. When Katie's body finally fell into the fire, the earth around the pit collapsed, sucking in the cult, the stones, the hollow, everything. The sky cleared. The sun rose. The town was gone, replaced by trees, nature, silence. 1 year later, a construction crew stumbled upon a charred, circular clearing in the forest while laying foundation for a new highway. In the center was a melted notebook, fused to bone. They didn't think much of it. That night, one of the workers woke at 3:33 a.m., eyes black, whispering. The maw sleeps, but dreams of new doors. Part 4, The Maw's Dreams. Cosmic horror, occult mystery. 1 year later, July 23rd, New England. Amelia Gray had never heard of Harrow's End. It wasn't on any map. No postal records. Not even a Wikipedia stub. She found it scribbled in the margins of a journal she bought at a flea market in Salem. A leather-bound thing, old and warped from heat. Smelled like ash and iron. Inside were burnt pages, half-erased symbols, and a phrase repeated in red. "The hollow is sealed, but the maw dreams." Amelia was a grad student in folklore and occult literature. She thought it was a hoax, some elaborate creepypasta ARG, but she couldn't stop thinking about it. Then the dreams began. A girl burning, a boy with mouth for eyes, a black pit that breathed, and always at the center, a voice like splitting wood. "You're curious. That's the first door." By mid-July, Amelia stopped sleeping. Every night at 3:33 a.m., she'd jolt awake, find herself standing somewhere she hadn't fallen asleep. Her mirror reflected someone else behind her. Her plants began to whisper. Her laptop froze on a single line of text, no matter what site she visited. She died, but the root remains. Blood calls to blood. She traced the journal's origin to a rural postal depot in Connecticut, near a ghost town marked simply as HH. Harrow's Hollow. She drove there July 22nd. Nothing marked the land but trees. A kind of emptiness that made her feel like she'd already been there, like something was watching from beneath the roots. She followed the old roads, now overgrown. The silence was absolute. No birds, no insects, just the rustling of leaves that didn't seem to move. And then she found it, the clearing, the site where Katie Langford had burned. Charred earth, melted stone, a deep impression like something enormous had once rested there and wasn't gone for long. Amelia knelt and touched the ground, and something touched back. She woke in her car. It was 3:33 a.m. The passenger seat was wet, not with water, blood. A symbol was carved into the fogged windshield from the inside. You are listening. You are near. July 23rd, nightfall. She returned to the site with cameras, meters, EMF detectors, everything her paranormal team would have used if she hadn't stopped trusting them weeks ago. She began recording, but the cameras only picked up static. She lit a lantern, walked into the center of the pit, and then the ground cracked. Not open, but upward, like something was rising. The trees around her folded back like a blooming flower. The stars disappeared, and then she saw them. Eyes, hundreds, suspended in midair, watching, blinking at different speeds. A voice slithered into her skull. She burned herself to seal me. Foolish. The seal broke the vessel, not the gate. You're not from the bloodline, but you've entered the dream. That is enough. From the black above, something unfurled. The maw, not in flesh, but in thought. Dream form, feeding on minds. Amelia dropped to her knees, screaming. But instead of running, she began writing. Pages of symbols, words she didn't understand, glyphs never seen before. She couldn't stop. Her hands moved on their own. What is this? She gasped. The maw answered. A new scripture. Somewhere else, in a mental institution in Montana, a girl named Mira Langford, Katie's niece, age 9, sat up in bed at exactly 3:33 a.m. She began humming a backward lullaby. Her eyes turned black. She smiled and whispered, "She's almost ready." Meanwhile, Amelia's journal snapped shut. She awoke in her apartment in Boston. No memory of how she got back. The cameras? Blank. But the symbols she'd written were still on her arms. And on her mirror, a phrase had been carved by something not human. The hollow is waking. The more remembers your name. Final note, found scrawled in Amelia's handwriting days later. It doesn't need the town anymore. It doesn't need the blood. It just needs someone who listens. I open a door. I think it's in me now. I hear it breathing, even when I'm awake. Part 5, The Door That Listens. Cosmic Horror, Psychological Descent. 3:33 a.m. Boston. Amelia Gray hadn't slept in 4 days. Because every time she closed her eyes, the door appeared. A massive, rotting wooden door floating in black space. Covered in veins. It didn't open. It breathed. The whispering never stopped. She heard us. Now so do you. You are the door. The mole remembers. Amelia didn't know what that meant until her ears started bleeding. On July 24th, she locked herself inside her apartment, taped black plastic over the windows, disconnected the internet, covered every reflective surface. It didn't help. Her phone lit up constantly. Calls from numbers that were just her own phone number mirrored backward. Voicemails were empty, except for wet, ragged breathing. She visited doctors, MRI clean, neurologists, nothing. But she kept drawing, pages and pages. One image repeated over and over. The door, and beside it, in jagged script, if she burns, the door listens. Then came a knocking, not from her door, from inside her walls. Soft at first, then louder, rhythmic, deliberate. She pulled off part of the drywall in a panic, only to find a doorknob, embedded in solid concrete, rotting wood around it, barely visible under the plaster. Her apartment wasn't built with that wall. Her landlord confirmed it. She stared at the door for hours, and it knocked back. Meanwhile, in Montana, Mira Langford, age 9, stared at the ceiling of her group home. She no longer slept. Staff reported her drawing circles of eyes on the floors in charcoal, speaking backwards, and claiming her dreams were becoming real. One nurse said Mira whispered something in her ear, and the next day, she was found bricked inside a supply closet, with a vessel woke the door scratched in her fingernails. Authorities blamed a breakdown, but 2 staff members quit, swearing Mira wasn't a child anymore, that she had too many teeth. Back in Boston, Amelia snapped. She grabbed a hammer and smashed the hidden door in her wall. Blood sprayed from the wood. It groaned, cried, begged. "You are the hinge now. You turned yourself." A low groaning started in her head, deafening. She blacked out. When she woke, she was sitting in a chair in a room made of flesh. The door was ahead of her, towering, breathing, and it opened, not into another place, but into her. She felt something crawl down her throat. She couldn't scream, couldn't move. The maw whispered. The hollow was one root. "But you are fertile ground." A voice in the right place can become a gate. And you never stopped listening. July 30th. Across America, people began reporting a sound, low, steady, like a distant heartbeat, on radios, baby monitors, televisions that weren't plugged in. They called it the door tone. Some say it's a hoax, but a few started answering it. Talking back, those people began vanishing. Others were found walking highways barefoot, eyes black, muttering one phrase over and over. "It's open now." Postscript. Found on Amelia's recorder, final log. "I saw Katie Langford in the door. She burned to stop it, but she only slowed it. It doesn't need the town anymore. It just needs signal, speech, belief. If you're listening to this, I'm sorry, because that means it's inside you too." Epilogue. A podcast called Urban Echoes receives a mysterious email containing Amelia's last audio log. They play it during their August 1st episode. 2 million people listen. At 3:33 a.m., every one of them dreams of the door. And the door listens back. To be continued. Asterisk, let us know if you want more part 6, Signalborn, to part 10. And don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share for more scary horror stories.